sin. This is essentially the same thing being said in this verse, but in terms of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not different from Krishna, as I explained already. Abhinatvan Nama Namino. There's no difference between the named and the name. So Sarvadharma Parityaga Papat Sadhya Suchitama Puyat. So to become protected from the reaction of having given up all the dharmas that are incumbent upon the human being, but these dharmas are not workable in this age, like Varna Ashram Dharma. No one is, we discuss in ISKCON, there's lots of devotees who talk about how to bring back Varnashram Dharma. What does that mean? There is no Varnashram Dharma now. And if there is no Varnashram Dharma, if nobody is following a Varna, then that means people are sinful. Because it was Varnashram Dharma to accept, to prescribe duty within Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. This is how people stayed free of sin. But now that system is not working. Why? Because people are sinful. People are too sinful. Therefore it's not possible. You see? The Brahmanas are not powerful enough by their preaching to establish Varnashram Dharma. There are no Kshatriyas, bona fide Kshatriyas, who can enforce Varnashram Dharma. And so everything is whimsical. People are just doing this and that as they like. Democracy. Prabhupada said, demon crazy. So, we are sinful. That's what this verse is saying. But sadhu muchite, you can become immediately free from this sinful condition. Iti Upanishad, if we follow this Upanishad. And this Upanishad is telling us what? To chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, and then, this is very nice, last verse to link to the Charan Sloki, the pinnacle sloki, sloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Same point is being made. Surrender to Krishna. We surrender to Krishna in this age by taking his holy name. And that will protect us from our neglect of other dharmas. Krishna says, give up other dharmas. But we're neglecting them anyway. And he also brings up the point of the question of sin. If you're not following dharma, then will not sin come upon you? Not if you're surrendered to Krishna. Because he says, I will personally protect you. So, same point. Sadhu muchite. Sadhu muchite. Immediately one will be delivered from sinful reaction if we chant the holy name of Krishna. And so, the Srimad Bhagavatam is ending. Bhave bhave yata bhakti padayos tava jayate tata kurushva devesha natas tvam no yataha prabhu, and nama sankirtanam yasya sarva papa pranashanam pranamo dukkha shamanastam namami harim param. These are the two last verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 12, Chapter 13. And they mean, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I pray that you kindly give me many births, and in each of these I may carry out loving devotional service at your lotus feet, as they always remain chaste and unsullied. You are our Master, whose very name, when sung by a group of devotees, removes our sins and relieves us of all miseries. I offer my respectful and humble obeisances to you, O most compassionate and merciful Lord Hari, remover of all woes. So this is where Srimad Bhagavatam ends. And what begins just after Srimad Bhagavatam is the Chaitanya Charitamrita. See? So Srimad Bhagavatam is establishing Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name, as the means to become relieved of all sins and to develop pure Krishna consciousness. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita is graphically, shall we say, making it very clear, concrete, how this is to be done, by bringing us into the nectarian pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his mission. So this Kali Santarana Upanishad then is only 11 verses long, but it's a very brief statement of the essence of all this. The essential message of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I'm going to end here. And don't forget, tomorrow we close this seminar with another yajna, and we will all chant. Now that you've learned Kali Santarana Upanishad by heart, we will chant these Vedic mantras to the incarnation of the Lord as fire tomorrow. And there will be a big feast. All kinds of nice preparations. Noodles, sweet and sour. Is there any question?
There's a question on this one ashram you were indicating that it is not possible in this Kali Yuga to establish one ashram. It's simply you simply have to just chant Hare Krishna. Is that what is?
Well, that wasn't what I was concluding. Srila Prabhupada expressed very clearly his desire that Varna Ashram Dharma become implemented by the ISKCON devotees. But it is not an easy thing to do, because Varna Ashram Dharma, Guna Karma Vibhaga side, is pertaining to the nature of the population, the quality of their work. We're talking about the nature of a society, world society. So, and in Kali Yuga, that nature is very impure. So therefore the nature of people has to be purified. Someone asked Srila Prabhupada, how can I know what is my Varna? And Srila Prabhupada said, you chant Hare Krishna for a very long time, and then it will be revealed to you. So even knowing one's Varna, this is already highly qualified. So yes, what I was saying was devotees have discussed and continue to discuss Varnashram Dharma. Some are for it, some don't seem to be very much for it. They think it's too much of an endeavor or some archaic social system which no longer applies. Even some might take that position. So, but my point is simply on discussion stage. But practically speaking, it's difficult for people, especially because you see Varnashram Dharma, in order for it to exist, it requires, as Prabhupada writes in his Bhagavatam purport, it requires the close cooperation of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. First of all, you have to find such Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. And Kshatriyas are actually harder to find than Brahmanas. Kshatriya, a person who can be king, so much authority in his hand. That, see, because Brahmanas are, like some of my godbrothers have said, Brahmanas are enlightened anarchists. They're not very much interested in, the social controls. Brahmanas like to be independent, they like to be free thinkers, they like to talk, they like to preach. I mean, I'm not trying to make them sound like ivory tower intellectuals, but they are intellectuals, so they need their freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom to discuss many things. So there can, even today, there are brahmanas, I would say, reasonably qualified brahmanas. But what's really hard to find is real Kshatriya. The position of Kshatriya or political leader has been filled up by Shudras. So who is that person? Just think of a Kshatriya, a real Kshatriya. That person who has absolute authority. You see? The one man in society who can actually say, my way or the highway. And the one man who doesn't have to listen, he by his kindness he may listen to others, but if he thinks otherwise, then he has complete authority to say, you can all go jump in the lake. This is what we're going to do. What I say. That type of person, you see, nowadays, if you just mention that someone may have such power, everyone becomes very nervous. Oh, no. We had so much bad experience. Someone, what do they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. They have all these slogans. They had all this historical horror stories of two powerful kings ruling whimsically. So now we have to have democracy to save us from these powerful Führers. But who's going to save you from the democracy? That's the question. So that person who could occupy such a throne of total authority, he has to be pure-hearted, and he has to be noble, and he has to be compassionate. And yet at the same time, he's strong. He knows what is Dharma. And he has the power to enforce it. And a Kshatriya doesn't assume power by vote. It's power by right. His right as the son of a king, or power of conquest. He just marches in, takes over. And so he has, full authority over army and police, all administration. It all comes back to him. So such a person is very, very hard to find. I don't think there are any such persons in the world right now. You see. So humanity has to be purified. And another thing, what does Krishna say in the Gita about Varnashram Dharma? Tattvarna Mayashristam. He says, Mayashristam. I am the creator of the system. So now if there is no Varnashram Dharma, who do we turn to? I don't conceive of Varnashram Dharma, emanating from some meeting in Mayapur, a GBC meeting. Devotees go into a room, the door is closed, then 2 hours later the door opens and Varnashram Dharma comes out. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. Krishna says, I do it. Mayashristam. So what I think is that we have this mission of Krishna consciousness to expand Sankirtan throughout society, get more and more people chanting Hare Krishna, make more and more devotees in this population, and then when there's enough devotees, then Krishna will step in. So many of my devotees in this world, and so order should be brought to this world for the sake of just like he wanted the Pandavas to rule the world. So Lord Krishna will want his devotees to rule the world and govern society for the benefit of all living entities. And so just as he stepped in to ensure that the Pandavas would rule, so Krishna will step in to ensure that there's Varnashram Dharma. That's my opinion. You may hear other opinions from others, but that's what I think.
Just add one, your comment on one other thing. So that the effort of so many people trying to have pockets of one ashram around the world is not. What's your view on that? I mean,
I am not.
They are having a pocket like one
I'm
community.
not.
Community there.
I'm not speaking against anything like that.
But is it,
I think this is, and this is also, this is showing sincerity in trying to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and this will also attract Krishna's mercy. But my belief is that without Krishna's involvement, then this age is just too fallen.
So the Sankirtan way of getting the society chanting and temple in different...
Yeah, there has to be purification of nature of the people, and that's accomplished by Sankirtan, book distribution, prasad distribution. Well, the world is changing. You see, people are much more, I think, open nowadays to spiritual ideas, open to Krishna consciousness. So as more and more people reach this stage of seeing that the spiritual element of life is important, then naturally people will gravitate to a more spiritually oriented form of government and society. Is there anything else? All right then. So, same time, same place.
Yajna and feast tomorrow.
Yajna and feast, and long kirtan.
And feast.